Night drive. 30th class reunion edition. I didn't have a blast, but I definitely was able to connect with some people that recognized me. When I was in high school, I did not fit in with the other skateboarders. There was, God, they ran like, it was like fucking Lord of the Flies. It was really creepy. I've told you before about this guy Travis Brenner, and there's this other guy Bob, and Bob was involved in that. What was the Ronald McDonald? They stole Ronald McDonald, and then pretended to hold him hostage until McDonald's created a veggie burger. It was a game. It was silly. Anyways, so I stayed in the mod clique. They called us mods, or goth at the time. This was in 1990, 91. And I just didn't get along with the skateboarders, and so I hung out with the mods. And I can't quite, I want to say her name was Myrna. I can't remember. She was a cool goth chick. And I'm in a really fancy neighborhood, by the way. I was at a $2.2 million house, and I peed in their pool house toilet. So just so you know. And anyways, there's like 50 people there, and who was it? The guys that I hung out with were the guys that I hung out with in high school. It's kind of cool. One of them, he works for a church, and it was funny because we all, none of us have any hair anymore. And they had some unique looks, and really rebel goth type of looks. And me, I was like kind of punk, but I was poor, and so like really poor. Like I wouldn't even buy the clothes at Goodwill. I would steal them, and then like try to turn them into some sort of weird style, and try to create my own, look. When I certainly had that in spades. But it was great to connect with them, and I'll put a couple of links in the description of some of the artwork that we all participated in. One of them was about showing your school spirit, and my buddy David got in trouble for that and had to go talk to the principal. I didn't quite get all of his story out. He was quiet then, and he was a little quiet now. Also, I'm a big loudmouth sometimes. and a little bit of ADD. So, and then my other friend was Patrick Bears, who ended up marrying his high school sweetheart, Lynette Allen. And Lynette's cousin, Darlene, had a crush on me. She's super smoking hot. Super, I thought she was, well, typically when a girl is Mormon and looks that good, like, you stay away. Like, that was the rule. I didn't realize I was the bad boy she was trying to fix, and she had a crush on me, and I totally could have, been her rebellion. I'm not quite a black guy, but definitely, rebel. So anyways, I thought she was super smoking, and but that's one of the reasons why I stayed away from her. I've told you guys this. You got to learn to be cool around hot chicks, and you're just acting like you don't care. But me, as I didn't know I wanted to be a comedian. I knew that I did funny stuff, but and I have the timing, and it was really good. But I found out, I was able to relive a night that we went out to a club. The club was called Club Deviate, and I guess it was a club on the weekends. It was in Scottsdale, and it was a teen club, which means you can't drink. And a lot of times when they would have after hours, where after, it used to be, I don't know if it still is, but after like 1 a.m. is when drinking stopped. And then they would allow underage kids, or at least under 21, but over 18, into clubs, and then probably dance all night. So it's because we were on drugs and stuff like that. And we used to do that at the Silver Dollar Club, which doesn't exist anymore. Bank One Ballpark, or what do they call it? Chase Field is now there, but we used to do that a lot, and that's where I went and saw my Fugazi concert, my first concert. And let's see, what else? It was, I don't know, it was fun talking to those guys. It was especially relevant because we're all bald and we're all white. But David made this joke way back then, and I brought it up, and he just completely lost it, which was great. At the time, this was in '91, and at the time it was cool for black guys to really sort of pay respect and honor their cultural roots from Africa, which is hilarious because we were from the burbs. Like we all lived in the suburbs. Like none of us were hood or street or anything like that. It was fucking Mesa, Arizona. It was hilarious. So anyways, at the time it was a trend for black guys to wear a symbol of was it red, black, and green, or the symbol of Africa, like a cutout of Africa. And we were making fun of my buddy Chad, who was a pretty good skateboarder. And I knew him from skateboarding and also from stereos. He got me into bass and all that kind of stuff. And Chad was the guy that actually wore, he was a white guy, would wear African medallion. And so we as the mod squad, as we didn't know we were called that. Somebody else ended up spray painting where we hung out and called us the mod squad. And they spelled mod wrong. Spelled M-A-U-D. It was hilarious. It's like, you dumb jock, you don't even know how to spell. And anyways, the joke that David told to sort of make fun of those people that were so pretentious to, you know, like Chad was. He was a beautiful boy. My God, he had long hair and he could skateboard good. I mean, pussy magnet, total. But it was David had decided to put a white powdered donut around his neck and wear it like a necklace. And then he would go, because people already called him a skinhead, even though I think he would shave his head. Now we you know, you shave your head because you're bald. But so then he would go around and wave with his hand like it's almost like he's making the Heil Hitler symbol, whatever. I don't even know what it's called. But he would say, white powder. White powder. Everybody loves white powder. And to get you to do a double take, like, did he say white power? You know, But it was great for me to have that as a callback. And then on top of that, I had recently, this year I had posted the School Spirit flyer that he made. And then one that I had made about Jennifer Smith, who was like homecoming. So some hot chick that she posed, I think with the class president, Tyson Cook, who was there tonight. He looks the same. He's funny, but he's just older. And so but I posted that too, and you can see that on my Instagram, Patrick David Chandler, where I post all my weird art. And like, that's me. I'm weird like that, and take it or leave it. I don't give a shit. So I dated a couple artist chicks that were super hot in high school. And was it Beth? Yeah, one was Beth Houston. And one of us gave each other chlamydia. Yeah, it was probably me giving it to her. I don't know, because I was fooling around with some skanks that I met at the Wendy's that I worked at. But so, sorry for giving you chlamydia, Beth. And then the other artist was Michelle Marks, who was she was not there tonight. I got her to stay away from me because she like wanted to cheat on her husband with me, and I was like, no, that's wrong. And basically I told her that she grew up to be just like her mom, which was real bossy, because like she was Jehovah's Witness, and she actually brought me to the Easter ceremony, which, if you don't know about the Easter ceremony, I don't know if it's like they just do it on Easter or they do it like I don't know, but they pass the sacrament around. And I was raised Mormon, where we actually eat the bread and you drink water because God told Joseph Smith that don't use water, don't use wine, use water, because they were poisoning the wine, right? It was always like, it was funny when you do the research on Joseph Smith. He's always talking about the haters, the people that hate on him for having a 14-year-old wife, you know, things like that. Anyways, so yeah, I dated her, and at the yearbook signing party, senior year, her mom, who has this huge wine stain on her eye, decided to show up without putting makeup on and track me down and go, well, I guess they found out that, I guess she admitted that she had sex with me once. Wrong. We were going home every fucking day for lunch, and we didn't eat lunch. And what was it? Her mom showed up at the yearbook signing party and was like coming after me, and I had to leave. I had to make a quick exit. So, but yeah, it was a fun time, and I just wanted to connect with people on social media. There was a girl, Rachel Bloom, who I remember her name, but I have to look her up. I had like a really nice conversation with her, hearing her story and telling my story, and then I told some random guy about my, Starling Studios, and of course I sound like a maniac and just a crazy person when I'm like, that's fine, I don't give a shit. I'm going to Texas and I'm going to the moon. I didn't tell anybody I was going to the moon, so just so you know, even though I'm going to the moon. But I had a good time, and I do wish that Sherry was in better health to go with me, but Sherry was trying to be supportive. She, this road is noisy. Sherry was at Costco the other day and was asking me if I needed anything, and I was like, no, and then as a joke, she's like, you can get, like, it was like 50 condoms. She's like, you can get 50 condoms for like $14. I was like, what? That's a really good deal. I go, but it's okay, because Chrissy and Hayden talk me into doing a raw dog all the time. That's an inside joke, because Hayden took Chrissy and raw dogged her in the back of the warehouse. I had no idea. I was like, don't do that. I'm like, she's a professional, right? And he's like, oh, I know, that's why it was great. And I'm like, he drinks her meth every morning. He's like, yeah, that makes her genitals really sensitive. I was like, yeah, I know. So, but anyways, I had a good time, and it was interesting to see some of the pretty people. If you ever watch Jill Kimmel's stand-up, hopefully she's changed it by now, but Jill Kimmel talks about all the girls that she grew up with in high school now have, facelifts and eye tucks and lip injections and all this kind of stuff, and there's a little bit of that there tonight, and it was funny. I was like, I knew that wasn't my crowd, and I got to connect with Cammie Peterson, who we all thought that she got pregnant and had a baby, and she's like, no, I didn't. It's like, what? Well, it turns out like she was just rebelling, and her parents sent her away to live in Texas for a little bit, for like a year, and then she came back, and so, I don't know, that was the rumor, but luckily I talked to her and she cleared up the rumor that didn't happen. So, but it was nice to see people who, I guess, just recognized me. There was a lot of people, of course, I didn't recognize or just didn't even know. A lot of Mormons. A lot of Mormon kids, but it was. I had a really nice conversation with Rachel about, because I can relate. I grew up Mormon, or at least my mom tried to raise us that way, and you just know a lot of the lingo and stuff like that. But everybody liked when I was telling them about the church's eotology and my movies and all that kind of stuff, and it was fun. And it was really interesting to see what everybody else does for money. A lot of the people are like rich. I was like, holy shit, this guy makes really good money, and he, but it's in some, thing that like sounds horrible. Like, it was like some sale. One guy was talking about he does sales for like mining equipment operations, like valves and expensive equipment and stuff like that. And I was like, cool, like that sounds lucrative. I was trying to be enthusiastic about everybody's profession. It was funny. I don't want to reveal too much about some people's stuff, because that's their story. But for the most part, I had a good enough time, and it was. I'm glad I went. Mostly just to kind of, because I'd made that post when I first got there, and I it's not that I was early, because the thing started at 6, and then I think I got there like at 6 or 7 almost, and nobody really recognized me. Nobody, they knew my name, but they didn't really recognize me because I'm like fatter and balder now. And I was like, well, I did shave my head a lot in school. And then, of course, if you look at my senior picture, I told that story to Rachel. It was fun, where I shaved my head just because it was summertime. It was getting close. It was getting hot in Arizona. It's hot. And my mom had a meltdown. She's like, oh, you're going to have school pictures, your senior pictures. Oh, you're not. I don't want you bald. Blah, 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 blah. So I went and asked Mr. White, who was the vice principal. And Mr. White, Jack Joyce. Oh, by the way, Jack Joyce and Al, I found out would go down to Rocky Point and like have sex with students and snort cocaine, which I thought was hilarious, and very revealing. It's great. But anyways, the joke that Jack and I forget Mr. White's first name, but and there was, I think, the other vice principals, they would all put on these Beatle wigs, these really ugly bowl cut wigs, and they were called JJ and the Monotones, and then I think they would sing or lip sync anyway, Beatles tunes and stuff like that, as part of the, what's it called, Faculty Follies is what we called it. I'm sure everybody had. If you ever watched the story about Mad Magazine, you realize that all over America we all had the same high school experience, and there's the same high school people, you know, the same groups, all that kind of shit. So, but anyways, I asked Mr. White politely. I was like, hey, can I borrow your wig? I need it for a party or something like that. And then I wore it to school pictures, and it was hilarious because I look completely ridiculous, and I just pretended like I was like spitting on my hand and trying to comb my hair and make it look good. So, that was fun, and I liked fucking with the system. One thing that I did talk about, which I will tell you, which is, if you know somebody in high school that's in their junior or senior year, tell them not to graduate on time. That's what I tell you. Take as many courses as you can before they like literally kick you out of high school for taking too many courses. The reason why you do that is because they're super cheap. Like the materials fees are like nothing. Because if you take that same course at through a community college for credit, it's like $500 to $1,000 easy. And so what you can do is basically be like, half a credit, whatever, 1 credit short of your diploma, but you take all these courses at the vocational schools or just, whatever you want to learn for free. And you can be, 4th or 5th year senior, whatever you want to call it. But completely milk the system. Take advantage of it. You don't have to graduate with your friends. Even though I still have, I wouldn't call them nightmares. It's more like a night terror of being stuck in high school and never being able, because I didn't walk. I told you that story, didn't I? It was like I was in the Cutco cult, and my mom bought me this ugly blue suit from Penny's, and I was selling knives in my shitty $100 car that I bought from Jake Stonebreaker, bless his heart. Jake got hit on a moped, yeah, like a little Vespa, and he's retarded. It was terrible. But wear a helmet. But all in all, I had a good time, and I look forward to making more friends and being more sociable and adult, and more than anything, just pursuing my goals, because I realize my goals are like, most people out of high school just went, and like a lot of these Mormon kids went on their mission, and then they go have a family, and then that preoccupies them from all other choices. I didn't get that choice. So when I was in the military, everybody was egging me on to have kids, and I was like, nope, because I just had a really shitty childhood, man. And we were super poor, and I mean, not super poor, like there was like gypsies at school that were poorer than us. Like there was this one gypsy kid that used to lick his tray, and then he would want to lick my tray. And I swear to God, his sister was like super molested. Anyways, they were Romanian, and they were super poor. Like at least my mom washed my jeans, my tough skins, at least once or twice a week. But anyways, I grew up poor. I had a really shitty childhood and a shitty teenagehood or whatever. We were not supervised. Both my parents were narcissists, and so there was never any room for what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And That's why I do this. This is me still acting out from that trauma. Like, again, one of the things that I did as a kid, because my dad was a truck driver, and I mean, it sounds a little self-pity when I say it now, but it's, my dad broke my heart not being home. And, I swore to myself that, when I was going to get a job, I wanted to work from home, because he actually worked from home a little bit. I didn't really know what an entrepreneur was and, what you did, things like that. Also known as a horse trader or somebody like that. But that's what I do. And I want to encourage people to make $1,000 a week at home in cash, one way or another, flipping stuff or just finding deals or, doing it online. A lot of those TikTok things about side hustles, like, fucking do them. Do the side hustle. Like, what have you got to lose? Like, the other day I finally downloaded Duolingo. I told you a couple times about that, because I want to learn Espanol, and I'd rather do that than play fucking Candy Crush while I'm pooping. So now I learn Spanish while I'm pooping. So do something productive. Do a little something to forward your goals and forward, the life that you really want. So, and if you get a chance to go to your 30 year, 20 year, 10 year, go. I was really angry in high school, and I was really acting out a lot. And it was great to connect with the guys that were basically, I mean, it's not that like it's weird. It's not that we were friends like outside of school, but at school we were definitely friends, because we were all oddballs. Like, this was our social group, and it was very, very small. And Nikki. Oh, I found out Nikki died. So she's a really unique character. I think of her actually probably a couple times a week. And she was like this. I asked David about her, and because she was super flirty with me, but I think she was super flirty with everybody. And she had a locker near me, and so she just liked to flirt, and then I flirt back and all that kind of stuff. It didn't mean anything, but she went, I think, yeah, she was there at Club Deviate when we went, and I flirted with her and danced with her there, and it was just fun, and played like Susie and the Banshees, Kiss Them For Me, and that kind of stuff. And we were all, I brought up, I said, I'll never forget the guy that I saw dancing there, who was like, he would put his hands together like he was praying or thinking, like to his lips. And he had this, not flock of seagulls hair, but definitely it was big hair for a guy. And he wore like this tight shirt, buttoned to the top, and then velvet pants. Velvet fucking pants. And then witch shoes, like pointy shoes. And they actually knew the guy. I was like, I said, that's my complete reference for trying to describe the disgust that I had for the alternative community. Like in the 90s, there was a movement called alternative rock, and it later became mainstream with like Nirvana and stuff like that. But there was a radio station here in the Valley called KUKQ, and it was a sister station to KUPD. And it was like all these weird alternative bands that, you never heard of, that were like kind of punk or just, indie, what they would be considered indie now. And, but I don't know, it was just it was a neat period in time. And Jeff Arnett, who was, I guess he wasn't class president. No, he was homecoming king, but he's actually a really nice guy. I never really knew him, but he's, definitely a jock, and, he's very sweet and, attentive. And, I don't know, he basically ran and organized the whole thing, and it was great. And, it wasn't a lot of people. It was only like, maybe 50 people. So it was, I don't know, it was interesting. I left because it was fucking cold. So even though it's only 59, but I was like, yeah, I could be home snuggling with the wife. I'm going to go home and snuggle. And, oh shit, I forgot to bring her a dessert. I didn't eat anything while I was there. I was like, I didn't want to be in that weird position. And it was funny watching Rachel eat. I just didn't pay attention. I was like, and she made like a little tostada. Which is like the most difficult thing to eat politely, and I just thought it was funny. It was great. So, but I love everybody. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to hearing your comments, positive and negative. I don't give a shit. But get out there, man. Just go out and just chase your dreams, dude. That you don't do well, you can do a job that sucks just for the money. When you those are your dreams, you're willing to do and sacrifice what it takes, just again, like I was talking about, like worshiping the sun. Worshiping the sun is actually a great thing to do. It teaches you gratitude and respect and just awareness and being present, things like that. Those attributes are great, but if you actually think that the sun is your God, it gets a little weird. And so, but it was great to be able to pitch a church meeting of the Church of Zealotology. Feel the zeal, be the zeal. I'll talk to you guys more about that. I want to do like a little pitch of a scene from that. So, kind of to document it, but also to just, it's good to get it out of my system. But I'm going to go ahead and see my friend Gooby Sherry and see how she held up. She's been she's going through menopause, and so she's has hot flashes, cold flashes, and crying spells and all kinds of stuff. And so I'm just doing my best to be supportive and love her, but also hold her accountable, because that leads to trouble when you don't hold somebody accountable like that. It's like, yeah, just because you're retarded or just because you have a temper doesn't mean you're excused from your bad behavior. So I'll never forget that either. Like fucking Carlos and Heather, stupid Carlos. I'm sitting there telling him how, basically to rein in his dumb bitch girlfriend, which I actually integrated. I wrote a scene for my movie about that, about the dynamic of a couple like that. Stupid Carlos, he has this like bowl cut haircut, and she's like, she's a blonde, and I'm not into blondes because my mom was a blonde, but she is definitely out of his league, and she was the daughter of a cop, and so she just got anything she wanted. And of course Carlos is like this dirty poor beaner dude that he would leave refried beans on the fucking stove for a week and say that's what gives them the flavor and that kind of stuff. And I remember there was this part where Carlos's girlfriend, Heather, her expectations were not being met by my landlord duties. And I was laughing at how ridiculous she was being. And I still remember Carlos is looking at me like, he's like, don't laugh at her, don't laugh at her. Because like he considered that like I was cock blocking him. And I'm like, dude, your girlfriend's out of fucking control. Like, this is insane. Like, I don't put this up with anybody. Like, and just because she's cute does not mean she can get away with it. But, of course, Carlos, she's the cutest that he'll ever get. And so he's very compliant. So, but yeah. And then it was, Carlos said something about, because we ended up getting in some fight, and then I ended up asking them to leave, or they left. No, they left on their accord, and it was hilarious because they wanted their deposit back, and I was like, "Go fuck yourself! You left, you broke the lease. Fuck off!" And but I remember him defending himself, and he told me this thing, and I'll never forget it. He says, I got a temper. I didn't know. I don't know the guy. I didn't know the guy that well. But I thought it was hilarious that I was supposed to know what his temper is, and I was also supposed to like walk on eggshells and treat him special because he's got a temper. Like, fuck you, fuck off. So don't let anybody else put their problems on you, and that's super codependent and dysfunctional, and just fuck that. So anyways, and for a while I hung on to carlosandheather.com because I wanted to make fun of them. But it turns out there's actually a bunch of married couples named Carlos and Heather, and somebody else wanted it. And then it was funny, I reserved Carlos and Heather at Gmail. And for a while I was getting this chick Heather's cable bill copied to me because Gmail still had me as the forwarding address. Because you can get a Gmail account and then you can just forward it, whatever you get to it, as a way to give a different Gmail account that, either you don't want to give out or whatever. Anyways, so I was watching this chick Heather, this not related to the Carlos and Heather that I knew, get behind on her cable bill, and then like go to collections, and I'm receiving the whole thing. And then I finally I responded to the address, which is carlosandheather@gmail.com. And I was like, hey, just let you know, the forwarding, I used to have that email address and it's still forwarding to me, and you should pay your bills. But it was an idiot. It's paying a fucking $250 cable bill. It's like, you're an idiot. Nobody consumes that much entertainment. So anyways, I had a good time. I love you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.